Welcome to Center for Social Change podcast. My name is Daniel Pewter. Today I'm here with a rock star who is changing and making the world more green. The executive director of Dream in Green, Barbara Martinez-Guerrero, is a freaking rock star. She's not only in schools, she's in the community, she's impacting corporations, they're doing workshops. They have 3 different programs for elementary, middle, and high school. You guys have had 92 schools establish green practices, 4 schools receive school sites, 11,000 green team members. I don't even know what that is, but I want to be a green team member. Like, who doesn't? And 100,000 kids take the environmental sustainability message home. I love what you guys are doing about impacting, the world, because I think I waste stuff. Like, when I became more aware of how much I was wasting, I stopped wasting as much, or I stopped using certain things that would go into waste. So obviously, I think we waste more than ever before. Why this? Like you could be doing anything. You're super smart. Like, you got a great smile. You got a good look. Like, you're funny. Like, why this?
Well, I've always loved education. I was a classroom teacher for 12 years. I taught here in Miami and in New York, and after a while I realized that being a teacher, you didn't have the freedom or you didn't have the resources to teach what you wanted to teach in the classroom. So I decided that I wanted to do something else and started looking at environmental education programs that were available here in South Florida. And believe it or not, well, I'm sure you can believe it, there wasn't very many.
No way.
And so what I realized was that there is a very important need there to empower individuals, especially our youth, to lead in the response to climate change. I mean, everybody likes to say that Miami is ground zero for climate change. We have to deal with, hurricanes. The intensity of the storms are getting worse. We're dealing with sea level rise. We're dealing with saltwater intrusion. We have hotter temperatures that are causing health issues now, more and more health issues. And then we're in the 4th largest school district in the U.S. So we have the opportunity to really involve a lot of students in environmental education and learning more about environmental literacy. So that's what attracted me to Dream in Green, which, I'm pretty new to the organization, but the organization has been providing environmental literacy curriculum for the last 13 years. So we are established in the community, and, we have a great partnership with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Even though we don't only focus on public schools, we also have, private schools. And this year we even have a couple of schools up in Broward that are participating. But what we're really seeing more and more is that teachers are looking to go beyond the classroom textbook that they're given and look for other resources. They're looking for curriculum that integrates, current events, what's happening locally and nationally onto their students, and helping them and engaging them in coming up with solutions. And like you said, the solutions we focus on are very small. It might be just to turn off the light, to become aware that when you leave a classroom, for example, you can turn off the light and there you're saving electricity. Or, something that's very popular, when you brush your teeth, they tell you to turn off the water and while you're brushing your teeth, or to quickly take a shower in one song. There's little tricks and things that we've shared throughout. But if everybody does that, one person doesn't make an impact. But if we all do it and we all start doing it, then it makes a great impact. Because we really need to look at what we're doing with how we're managing our resources and how we're preserving them and how we're using them. And that's something that we focus on with our Green Schools program.
I've seen, whether or not studies, but information about how in 20 years we're going to run out of water, or the sea levels are rising and Florida's going to be underwater, which is horrible because I love Florida, or whatever's like those things. Like in the middle of is the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, there's that whole bowl of garbage.
The garbage, yeah, the island.
The island of garbage?
Yeah.
It's insane, right? So we've created that. We're destroying our world. What are you guys doing? I mean, you're doing programming, you're doing seminars, you're impacting communities. Are you guys doing policy too? Or are you guys working with, I know you're working with school districts, obviously, but how are you getting these kids to really value this? Because they don't know, right? Like, we're in America. I went to India this last year, a couple times over last year, and they have like nothing compared to what we have. I mean, they have, in the bathrooms, I walk in, there's a hole in the ground.
Right.
So it's a whole different context of how they live. How do you get kids to value this? Because I think that's a super hard thing to do today.
I think, you'd be surprised how much now our students are thinking about climate change, and they're thinking about our resources that are, we at one point thought were unlimited, and now they're seeing that they definitely are. So then it's really interesting because we're seeing that more and more students, especially at the high school level, are looking for programs that not only expose them to information, but also encourages them to take action. And so although our program is not, we don't focus on advocacy, we don't go to the school board meetings to tell them to recycle, or, we don't go to companies and, shame them for what they might not be doing. But we do give schools, the schools, tools to encourage students to maybe do that on their own. Once they see what the problem is. I mean, a lot of the times it's just first identifying the problem. And once they have a clear understanding what the problem is, and they're able to break it down, and that's what our Green Schools Challenge curriculum does. We kind of break it down into smaller pieces. So we're not just talking about climate change in the big concept of the world, of the words, but we're talking about sustainability, looking at the smaller pieces, encouraging schools, for example, to conduct energy audits. Physically, and trying to figure out how much energy each school consumes. Water audits, learning about the water and energy, how they're connected with the water and energy nexus. Talking about food security, not just gardens. Why is it important to have edible gardens at schools? Well, because it directly leads to food insecurity that is going to affect us when we're talking about not only sea level rise and water, but where's our food going to come from?
It's crazy now. Like, I've seen some of the warehouse food. So they're doing like the hydroponics in multiple levels. So they're taking the massive warehouses and just doing levels of food. Right.
Yeah, because we have beat up our land so much, and then there's less and less land for agricultural uses, and the agricultural practices that we have been doing for generations are not sustainable. And so there's going to be a point where we're going to run out of water, we're going to run out of food, and then we're going to have massive problems.
Yeah.
And so the only way we can stop that is by first identifying the problem, and then coming up with alternatives and creative solutions. And honestly, a lot of the times those creative solutions come from the younger generation, because they're looking at things a little bit differently. They're not stuck in what has always been done. They're now looking at new and innovative ways to solve our problems, and so that is what we want to encourage. Especially, like I mentioned, at the high school level. One of our focuses this year has been really to tie in STEM careers to our programming. So looking, for example, at landscape architecture, or architecture firms that focus on doing green buildings. If somebody's interested in environmental studies, they don't necessarily necessarily just have to be a scientist that, does lab work, or there's other possibilities, green technology, talking about things like solar panels. What are the benefits of solar panels? How to take care of solar panels? So all of that stuff, we're seeing a big interest now. And so we really want to encourage and provide the resources and tools for students to engage in more actively in what their future is going to look like.
So when you go into a school, I love that you're getting them to at least create that vision of what's possible with this world and with their community. Is it a class? Because I see right here you did professional development, and I love that for educators. Is it for the educators? Is it day training, couple days? How does that work?
So our program is this year we've put all of our curriculum online, so it's free for participants. And so how it's usually run is that we encourage schools to send at the beginning of the year a teacher that's going to be the lead teacher for that school. And we do a one-day professional development training where we walk them through our curriculum. We go through what are the sustainability topics, how to access the resources, and then we really leave it up to them how they want to integrate the lessons into their curriculum. What we do is we are always available for school visits if they need us to talk to their green team. So what we encourage at the beginning of the year, so once that teacher has gone through that training, that they go back and encourage others to participate and create a green team. And the green team, we ideally want not just students and one lead teacher, but we want it to be more of a whole school involvement with a group of leaders that will introduce and implement the lessons in different forms. I mean, some schools do the lessons after school. We have some lessons that are done by PTA parents instead of, in a regular classroom. We have sometimes we go out and we do talks about the program and what are some of the things that they can do and how it benefits them. And then we have mid-year. We have a mid-year program workshop to kind of assess how the teachers are doing, because there's that mid-year slump come January, February.
Same teachers too, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, we have an award ceremony. So our Green Schools Challenge specifically is formatted in a competition style. So what we encourage is for a school to participate in as many of the activities or lessons that we put out. And for each lesson or activity that they do that helps support environmental sustainability, they get points. And so at the end of the year, we give awards for top schools that have accrued the most points. And so that's a little extra benefit. But throughout the school year, we also give grants. We have a program called the Green Leadership Grants. And so schools can apply every month to receive anywhere between $350 to $500 for different initiatives that they are thinking of implementing. So this year, we were able to give up to $500 to schools to start composting. So composting systems, and so we've been doing, along with that, school visits to the schools that receive those grants to help them start that program and give them any tools or resources they need. And we work with UF-IFAS Extension. We have a lot of partnerships which have helped us to really create a very strong network in Miami-Dade County specifically, and now, like I said, kind of going into Broward. But if we don't know something, we look for experts, and we involve them, and we give them access to schools that might be interested in, whatever they are an expert at. So it's been really nice.
What do you find your biggest challenge is? Like, what's one thing you don't have today that if you had it, you could make more impact?
I would say more schools participating and knowing about the program. Because what we're seeing is that there's a lot of teachers that are interested in and feel like, yeah, we should be teaching about climate change, but they feel that they can't because it's not related to the subject they teach, or their students are too young to talk about some of these concerns, or they don't know enough about it. So a lot of the times, I think our biggest challenge is just getting teachers to sign on and to realize that it's not more work, it's not extra work. It's supposed to supplement, and it's supposed to enhance what they're already teaching. And so I think that's one of our biggest challenges. Teachers are already overworked. They already have so many things that are going on, and there's already so many distractions of so many things that they can do. So getting the word out there to schools is really our biggest challenge.
I see you have some stats right there. Can you give us those?
Well, I have a couple of stats, which I thought were really interesting. Recently, NPR did a survey of teachers and parents, and they were focusing on the benefits of environmental education. What they thought about why environmental education was necessary. And, these stats were interesting because it said that, 80% of parents in the U.S. support teaching climate change, and that teachers also agree. Over 86 of the teachers agree. But there's 55% that say they don't teach it, even though they feel like they should be teaching it, they don't teach it, which I thought was really interesting. So,
it's a little off, isn't it?
Yeah, so it could be for various reasons. Strenuous testing schedule. That is always one of the things we always hear. Making sure that the lessons are tied into the benchmarks and the pacing guides. Making sure that they can justify doing something that's not in the textbook. That's always very important. And UNESCO, it says that environmental education increases awareness and knowledge about the environment and related issues, and that it helps to enhance critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making skills. And so that's one of the things we kind of try to push when we talk about our program, is that good environmental education does all of that stuff. And so we also focus a lot on the school building itself, because there are a lot of things that students can do at their own school. Homes might be a little bit more difficult, even though I love to hear from kids that they go home and tell their parents that now they have to recycle.
Their parents say what?
Yeah, which is great. And so that's kind of, now we have the students teaching their parents, which is really empowering for them. Mm-hmm. And they can say, Mom, you're wasting too much water, instead of the other the other way around. So yeah, those are some of the things that we're seeing.
It's funny because I pitched an organization, National PTA, and I'm on the phone with one of the ladies one day, and I'm like, I would love to get your kids to enroll your parents. And she was like, no, we won't do that. And I'm like, why not? The kids have the most influence. Animals have more influence than the kids, I think, per capita, because more parents spend more money on kids, or more people are on animals than kids.
That's interesting.
And I'm looking at this, I just saw a number, whatever, how much ever a pet owner spends on a kid versus animal versus their kid, right?
A kid.
And I'm just thinking about this one day. I'm like, that's the smartest thing in the world. Get the kids to love it, and they will beg and hound their parents to create a result, or buy them something, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I love how you guys are really connecting with educators to flow it down the system, because now there's a systematic shift. When you have let's say almost 100 schools on here, that you got a couple thousand kids per school sometimes. So you're impacting 150, 200,000 kids in Miami-Dade alone. I can't wait till you guys go national and international, because you're really going to be able to systematically shift people's minds to be able to be the best version of themselves in their life.
And we do it in a way that, we focus on them coming up with the solutions. It's kind of like a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down. Again, we provide tools and resources, but at the end, it should be the students coming up with what they want to do, what is better for them.
So I agree with you, because I think there's a difference between educate and educe. So I look at it as we can push information to a kid, or we can propose a question to the kid, give them a few facts, and say, what should we do? And when they create that intrinsic motivation, they then want to be able to shift and do something about it, because now they make a choice and a stance on a point. Whether they understand it and do something, or understand it and don't do something, at least they're making a choice of what they believe and create that belief. So I love how you guys are doing that to create a educe model with our upcoming education. Tell me what else you guys got going on.
So we have another program. So our Green Schools Challenge is our biggest program. This year we actually have 114 schools registered.
Congrats.
So we're super happy, and we increased our high school number registration. So we're hoping to do that again. But we have another program that's more geared towards the community at large, which is our We Lab program, which is our water and energy learning and behavior. And so we go out to different communities, and we do a 1-hour workshop, and we present information about climate change, present information about where water comes from, how water and energy are connected. We partner with solid waste management and water and sewer, and they come out and talk about the Biscayne Aquifer, how many gallons of water we use each day, how can we reduce that number. We talk about saltwater intrusion, which a lot of people are not very familiar. They think, we're going to get overrun by the water from the coast, but if you live out in West Kendall by FIU or by by Tamiami Park, it gets flooded there very easily, and that's because of the salt water coming up through the aquifer from the bottom. So we're getting it kind of from both sides. So that program goes out, and we try to tie it into how water and energy conservation ultimately will reduce their utilities bill. And so sometimes we get students by having them come up with their own solutions, and we go out to the community and tying conservation strategies to what they're going to benefit in their pocket, that economic benefit. Sometimes when you talk to people and say, you really shouldn't use too much water because we're going to run out of water, they're like, well, we'll run out of water eventually. It's not going to affect me. But if you say, if you reduce your water consumption, you can see, a 30% decrease in your utilities bill. That's more money in your pocket every month for that. That makes an impact. And so we try to go at it in that way. When we talk about, in that particular program, we talk a lot about recycling because we work with solid waste management. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know what they should recycle. Miami-Dade County is able to recycle, and it's interesting to talk to them about wish cycling. All the stuff we throw away thinking we wish we can recycle it, but unfortunately that causes contamination, and so what you thought you could recycle now has contaminated that whole bin, and now all of that goes into the landfill as opposed to recycling a recycling center. So that's really interesting. That's actually one of my favorite parts to do during that workshop. People are always like, why don't we recycle this? Like, why? And at the end of the day, if there's no market for the material, because that's what recycling is. You're, reusing, you're breaking down that material into another product. If nobody wants to use that material to make products, then they're going to throw it in the landfill because there's no market for it. And so I thought that was interesting. And I think with environmental education, that's something that I think we all have to be conscious about. Where are you going to really speak the language of the people that you want to inform? Again, a lot of times it's like, oh, environmental education, it's only like for Greenpeace people, or it's for those tree huggers.
I like Greenpeace. That tree huggers is good. Plant huggers.
But it should be an issue that everybody is concerned about, and if we have to break it down into economic costs for people to take notice, then that's an avenue that I think we need to get better at when we talk about how our resources are depleting. And Miami's very much into economics.
So if you guys go in for 1 hour into the school, right? Is that a 1 hour lab that you guys are doing?
Yes. Well, with the We Lab is through community. So we go through house, so a lot of the times, for example, Commissioner Levine Cava will sponsor a We Lab workshop, and we'll promote it, and it's open to the public. And nice. So we've done these all throughout Miami-Dade County and also in Broward County.
What does it cost?
Well, for the participants, nothing.
Okay.
For the participants, nothing. And we're able to provide those workshops a lot of the times at no cost to anybody, depending on grants, because obviously we're a nonprofit.
What is a grant that you guys need to cover that? So
in previous years, we've gotten EPA grants that have been able to cover anywhere between 5 to 10 We Lab workshops per year. We've also been able to receive funding from the Miami Foundation in order to do that.
If somebody wants different.
But if somebody would want to, it would be our cost right now is $2,500, and
that's not bad at all.
And that is, we also give a toolkit at the end of the workshop.
If you have a couple thousand kids, it's $1 a kid.
So
it's like a speaking fee. Schools will literally pay me $2,500 to come speak, right? Mm-hmm. So they could easily put something like this into their school 1 year.
Yeah, and we've done in previous years, for schools, we didn't really charge for any of the workshops, just because, for schools, and we do this workshop also at the college level, so Miami-Dade College, Inter-American Campus, or Wolfson Campus, or North Campus. If it deals with, students, we really do it at no cost. It's only when we go into households and we open it up for households. And we've done, the most recent one was actually through the city of Miami Beach. So city of Miami Beach had us go out there, and it was homeowners that wanted to learn more about how they can reduce their utilities bill.
I love it. So what's one thing that you want this year that you don't have, that if you would have it, you would make that much more impact?
Another staff person. We definitely are a very small crew. We do have the benefit of interns, and we've gotten really great interns this year through both FIU and MDC. So we definitely want to continue, but those are only short term. I think it'd be a greater impact if we were able to hire somebody full time to do more school visits, to go to do more workshops. I think that would definitely benefit. To go to more. To go to more science department meetings. It's just, we're really a small organization with a very small staff. So a lot of the times we'd love, for example, we get asked all the time to go to festivals and have a table at a festival. A lot of the times we just don't have the staff to go out and do that. So things like that, I think, would be, a staff would really benefit and push us forward.
I love it. Well, I love your vision, love your mission, love what you guys are up to. Where can people go and find you guys?
So they can go to our website. Our website is super easy. It's dreamandgreen.org. So
Social media too?
Social media as well. Dream and Green MIA, I believe, is for our Facebook.
Okay.
And we have a Twitter and an Instagram account, and it's Dream and Green.
Awesome. You guys, check out what they are doing at dreamandgreen.org and see how, if you want your school, even your organization, your company, sponsor a school locally and donate some money to be able to help impact your community. When your community grows, your kids grow. Your kids grow, your community grows, and vice versa. And from there, you guys all win. It's a win-win, because more kids for economic development long term, when they're more conscious and really understanding how to choose the best for this world, they're going to choose best for you. And definitely, when we get older, I want amazing humans to push me around in a wheelchair. I'm not going to get that old, but we'll go from there. You guys have an amazing day. Check out Center for Social Change. What they do in Miami, around the country, and dreamandgreen.org. See you guys.